MMAjunkie Radio co-host and MMAjunkie contributor Dan Tom provides an in-depth breakdown of UFC 224's top bouts. Today, we look at the co-main event. UFC 224 takes place Saturday at Jeunesse Arena in Rio de Janeiro, and the main card airs on pay-per-view following prelims on FS1 and UFC Fight Pass. Also see, Ronaldo Souza, 22-5 MMA, 8-2 UFC, staple info, height, 6 feet, 0 inches, age, 38, weight, 185 pounds. Reach, 74 inches, last fight, knockout win over Derek Brunson, Jan. 27, 2018, Camp, Fusion X, Florida, stance, striking style, orthodox, kickboxing, risk management, good supplemental info, former Strikeforce middleweight champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo black belt, multiple grappling accolades, 7 co-victories, 14 submission wins, 18 first-round finishes, consistent pace and pressure, heavy right hand, throws well off feints, improve wrestling ability, favors takedowns along fence, dangerous in transition, superb scrambles and back takes, slick submission setups, 8-2 against Southpaws, last 10 years, Kelvin Gastelum, 14-3 MMA, 9-3 UFC, staple info, height, 5 feet 9 inches, age, 26, weight, 185 pounds. Reach, 71 inches, last fight, knockout win over Michael Bisping, in November. 25, 2017, Camp, Kings MMA, California, stance, striking style, southpaw, kickboxing, risk management, fair supplemental info, tough 17, winner 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, purple belt wrestling, base 8 co-victories, 4 submission wins, 6 first-round finishes, co-power, high-pressure approach, good volume and combinations, improved boxing, accurate hooks and crosses, hard left body kick, solid wrestling and scrambles, strong from front headlock, always looks for back. Summary: the co-main event for UFC 223 features a fun matchup between top-ranked middleweights Ronaldo Souza and Kelvin Gastelum. A long-hailed contender who's only lost to the top fighters in the division, Souza will seek to remind the world that he has not yet closed the chapter on his quest for a championship. Also on a mission for gold is Gastelum, a former welterweight who has gone an impressive 4-1-1 as a middleweight in the UFC. Starting off on the feet, we have a pair of pressure fighters who come from grappling bases. Making strides to his striking since his days on the Strikeforce scene, Souza has molded himself into a multi-dimensional threat. Steadily stalking his prey, Souza will use feints to bait opponents into exchanging with him. Once able to get a bite, the Brazilian will typically unleash his patented countercross or change his level to shoot for a takedown. When sensing he has someone hurt, the 15-year veteran has no issue in letting his hands fly liberally, varying in between uppercuts and hooks along the way. In Souza's last outing against Derek Brunson, he appeared to be in a healthy and rejuvenated form, throwing much more middle and high kicks than before. Still, I'm not sure how long Souza will want to stand with the man who will have the speed advantage on paper. If this were the middleweight division that boxing offered in the early 1980s, then Gastelum would be our Roberto Duran. An inherent pressure fighter who steps up to the plate no matter the size discrepancy, we have seen Gastelum's striking skills come to fruition under the tutelage of Rafael Cordeiro at Kings MMA. Having a history of transforming high-level grapplers, especially southpaws, into dangerous strikers, Cordeiro has seemingly imparted the same knowledge onto Gastelum, who now incorporates crushing liver kicks to his already potent punches. Staying in the Southern California scene, we have also watched Gastelum make measurable improvements to his boxing and footwork. Pivoting more off of his right hand, Gastelum will now take better angles, getting the jump on opponents mid-exchange. Perceived striking or speed advantages aside, I suspect that Gastelum will have to approach Souza more carefully than usual considering the looming takedown threat. Souza, who was already an athletic standout as a jiu-jitsu competitor, smartly sharpened his wrestling chops throughout the years, melding his grappling style into one solid sword. Unnatural when it came to understanding technique, it was the wrestling and athleticism of Souza that often elevated him amongst his contemporaries in the first place. Now, over a decade later, you almost forget that the Brazilian never wore a gi with the way in which he translated his no-gi game into MMA. Whether he is shooting a reactive takedown in the open or hitting a double leg against the fence, Souza is smart about when to close distance. Given that Gastelum has shown a bit of a lackadaisical approach to defending shots, I will be curious to see if the 26-year-old tightens up his screws for Souza. In Gastelum's defense, one could argue that the reason he has allowed past opposition in on his hips is due to his confidence in his skills. A natural inside of a scramble, Gastelum shows a solid sense of positional awareness, fighting grips and staying calm in the process. And when he decides to get going, the Arizona State champion's wrestling chops shine through in the way in which he goes about his business. Whether he is floating from a front headlock series or using a Peterson or Granby roll to create reversal opportunities, Gastelum can be a handful for any fighter not equipped to stifle his game. In this case, however, he will not be playing with house money should he grant a ground fight. Not all Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champions are created equal in MMA, and there may be no better example of that than Jacare Souza. Even when watching him grapple with a gi on, you could easily see why Souza would make his plunge into the mixed martial arts scene. Effortless floating to and from his favorite base of operations, that is half guard, the 38-year-old will exercise his options like a kid in a candy store. Whether Souza is using a kimura to advance to side control or a head and arm choke to cut to mount, Gastelum will likely be in quicksand should he find himself this deep into the Brazilian's game. The odds makers and public seem to be tentatively taking a side, listing Souza minus 145 and Gastelum 125 as of this writing. Either way you look at it, this is a close fight to call. Still, I have to agree with the betting odds as listed above. As someone who has been high on the potential of Gastelum for some time now, seeing his speed advantage on the feet produce a knockout would not necessarily surprise me here. However, his propensity to allow fighters in on his hips is a troubling trend that's hard to overlook when facing a grappler the caliber of Souza. For that reason, I'll side with the Brazilian bet to show he still has it in front of his home country, earning a submission come the second round. Official picked Souza inside the distance. For more on UFC 224, check out the MMA rumors section of the site.